Hello, everyone.
Hello, you are now watching. Hold
You are
on.
now watching and listening to Swinging with Queen and Hippy. I'm
I
Queen.
and I am Hippy. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody doing well and you're surviving through this coronavirus episode. Pandemic.
Yes.
It's horrible out there. It's really dripping into all departments of our lives.
Yeah. Everybody's locked down right now.
Locked
A lot of people
the
are out of
fuck
work, and the
down.
ones having to go to work are scared to death.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, what are we dealing with on this week's episode?
We're talking about how to enter the lifestyle, the do's and don'ts, and how to make your playtime more enjoyable by making less mistakes.
Okay. And of course, you've done all the research necessary to,
Of course. And also, we wanted to mention we're not going to have use of the massage table today because with the pandemic going around and everybody being locked in, we didn't feel the need to ask anyone to risk their health by joining us. So it's just me and you today.
Yeah, we're locked down. We're
So
locked
we're
in.
sorry, everyone. You get me and Hippie today.
We've decided to self quarantine and do the episode for you guys.
That's right. Our producer's not even here. So if what you see is what you get, what you hear is what you get.
Exactly. So let's get into it.
Okay.
Why become a swinger?
There's different reasons. Most people do for pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the number one reason. And then once they get into it, they realize that there's other reasons. There's sexual freedom.
Mm-hmm.
There's sex positivity.
Mm-hmm.
There's the bond between people who you can just completely relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you share a deep, dark secret with someone, it bonds you.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize that it's such a secret, but there's a lot of swingers that don't want their personal life crossing over their professional life.
Yeah. So they're vanilla. They term it the vanilla life.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think there's other reasons for entering. Like for me, for instance, it was purely grief. I felt so trapped, dark, angry, sad that I needed something to lighten me up.
That's a very good example. And
Hmm.
for me, it was just wanting to embrace the independent life without having a significant other, but still wanting certain parts of that where you would typically have in a relationship. I wanted them in my life.
So you wanted to have a little bit of selective
Yes.
interactive action.
Intimacy,
Hmm.
cuddle time. Yeah.
No, I got you. Okay, we are also live on Podbean. We'd like to say hello to all our fans on Podbean as well. Hello, Sally C. How are you doing?
Welcome to our show, Sally, and thank you for joining us.
Yes. So we have sex positive attitude. So what do you mean by sex positive attitude when you write
Well, just the attitude that the word cunt and the word dick is not a cuss word.
that?
And the word slut and whore is not something that is going to condemn you to hell. You can sleep with multiple people, and most of us do in a lifetime, even of 50 years. Very few people make it at the end of 50 years only having one partner. So if you have 8 partners by the age of 50, does that really make you any different than having 20 partners by the age of 50?
I think it goes against nature to be monogamous. Monogamous. I think it's just something. I don't care if you are a nun and you're gonna look at something. There's something inside. I mean, there's something inside you. You're gonna give somebody the side eye. You're gonna look at somebody's gonna catch your eye. Somebody's either spiritual energy or physical appeal is going to attract you to them. And even if you don't act on it, you've had that thought and that
You're
feeling.
exactly right. And I don't want to get into a religious debate or anything that could be seen as religion,
Hmm.
but I do agree, even someone who's been faithful for 30 years has had fantasies,
Fantasy,
has had
yes.
thoughts.
Hmm.
So I totally believe that. But I'm
But there's responsibility with that. I mean, a lot of
absolutely
people think that they can come into the lifestyle and just frolic and be frivolous and irresponsible because there's
right.
sex, there's all of these different things that you're dealing with that are pleasurable. But it takes a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah, fantasies do keep us going, Sally. Yes, they
Yes, they
do.
do. And the thing is, if you're in the lifestyle and you have men, women, whoever that tell you that you're beautiful and that they admire you or they adore you or they even desire you, you feel good about yourself. It's such a different feeling than sitting at home on the couch on a Saturday night because you didn't have any invites to go out. So you sit coffee in hand watching TV alone, or even if it's a moment where you have to be at home on a Saturday night in front of the TV with the coffee in your hand, you still know that somebody out there thinks you're gorgeous and would rather be spending their time with you.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, one of your close friends gave me quite a flattering compliment, and that made me feel
Yes,
pretty good. I
yes,
mean,
a friend that I consider a sister.
hmm
And I know if she's not listening right now, she will watch this.
hmm
So,
So Sally wanted to know if either of us swing. Yes, both of us swing,
yes.
Sally. We both swing religiously.
And we are swinging singles. We are not a couple, though we are
Exactly,
play partners.
exactly. Yeah, we are play partners, but we are not a couple. So just to make that clear. A lot of people ask on our Facebook.
Yes, they
So
do.
like, I guess we have good energy or whatever. I don't
I
know what it
guess
is,
so.
but we are.
Well, you are kind of cute.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But that is my sister, from another mister, and I love her very much, and she's my partner.
So
And
we're swinging incestual.
all right, so what else do you
So we're
have
going to
here?
skip over to this and we're going to give some advice on couples that want to join the lifestyle. What are the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts?
Well, based on observation, because we're not a couple and we haven't, we're not entering into as a couple. But from what I heard, you want to establish boundaries.
Hmm.
There's rules. I mean, every couple that I've encountered in my play experience has been, making sure I adhere to their rules,
Yes.
and they vary.
And like you said, we're not a couple, but I've talked to couples and I've done a lot of research on couples entering the lifestyle.
Hmm
And I do know entering the lifestyle can be damaging to your career or to your relationship if you don't come into the lifestyle the right way as a couple.
hmm
It's more important as a couple to do your research before making this decision than it is as a single.
It could be harmful.
It can. As a single, if I choose tomorrow morning to leave the lifestyle, it doesn't affect anyone but me.
Hmm
As a couple, if I choose not to participate in the lifestyle tomorrow morning, and my significant other chooses to remain in the lifestyle, there's going to be a fight. And that
Oh,
fight
definitely.
ultimately is going to either weaken the relationship or end it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's also jealousy.
Yes.
Um, Living a vanilla life and then transitioning into a swinger life, you really have to leave your vanilla tendencies behind, and
And
it's
that
hard.
it's not going to happen. So what you need to do before you enter the lifestyle as
Hmm
a couple is discuss what do we do if
hmm hmm
what do we do if I get jealous? Do we leave the situation that we find ourselves in at that moment? Do we
hmm
go home? Do we cuddle and talk about it and
hmm
then resume later?
hmm hmm
Or do we, I mean, how do we as a couple address it? Because each couple's answer to that is going to be different.
So that leads into something that you have on the list. What which kind of swinger will you become? And I think the things that you have listed applies to more so. Is it a couple?
Yes.
A
Yeah.
couple. So you have like a soft swinging couple.
Hmm.
What's that?
That's where foreplay is allowed with other participants, but
Mhm.
intercourse is kept between the relationship.
So no hard, fucking,
Yes.
but
Right.
just you can touch and
Yes.
kiss and just
Right.
fondle, foreplay. Okay, and then we have a full swinging couple.
Full swinging is in foreplay and intercourse both are allowed, but only in the same room. So it
Okay,
has to be in the other's view.
okay, all right. And that, I guess that goes with setting the rules and the boundaries that you were discussing earlier.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what about open swinging?
Open swinging is where a couple goes into a party or a hotel takeover or whatever, and they each can separate. He can go one way, she can go the other, and they can still engage in play and then come back later to discuss what they've been through.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I say what they've been through, and I guess I should have said what they
What they
experienced.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's. There's a lot. I mean, you would think that entering into the lifestyle that you don't experience jealousy or you know traditional emotions that you would in a vanilla life, but you do.
Yes, absolutely.
You definitely do. I think one of the things that have been beneficial to me has been uh, the fact that the life nurtures a sense of unconditional love because that's something you got to work at. You just don't have that. You have to learn how to love somebody or bond with somebody unconditionally.
Yeah,
And that's very hard to do.
it is. And I mean, we're taught as people that everything is a certain way, and until we retrain our own brains, that's the way we're always going to be.
Hmm.
But before we move on, we have one more option for couples to discuss, and that's swaying.
Swaying.
Swaying is where you don't live a swinger life until you go on vacation or away from home, and you only swing on
Oh,
vacation.
okay. Hmm.
And it's important for
But is that
couples.
really swinging though? Is that
Well,
really?
sure it is. What if your vacation is like a swingers cruise?
I'm saying so. You're just participating in. I would say open. To me, swinging is more of an in-depth culture.
Well, there's,
You can't just dip your toe in and then dip out.
but you can be a full-time swinger versus a part-time swinger. Like you can be a full-time bowler, or you can go bowling 4 times a year, and you're still a bowler. You're just not devoted.
You can be an amateur bowler or a professional bowler, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's just one way of
So
looking
it's
at
an
it.
amateur swinger or a professional swinger. So yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence there, but I understand what they're saying. So that's called swaying.
Maybe so that we don't offend anyone, we should look at it like you can be a full-time swinger or a slayer.
A swayer. Okay, no, that's fine. To all my swayers out there, hey, there's room for you too.
That's right. And we might enjoy your play, so bring it. So, something else you need to think about is as a couple, when you discuss what kind of couple you want to be in the lifestyle, what are the no's? What are your limits? You each need your own boundaries, and those boundaries need to come together.
Me as a single guy in the lifestyle, that's kind of frustrating sometimes. Some of the rules that you don't really understand, you really don't know how to maneuver or navigate within the, I guess, boundaries that they set for themselves. Like I've never had a bad experience with a couple, which is pretty good because I make sure that I um, you know engage and ask what do you like, what don't you like, what do you allow, what don't you allow, and that's always been very helpful for me.
And something else that you want to make sure of is that when you set your boundaries, you need to be aware that they are going to evolve over time. So, where you set your boundaries today, a month from now, one or the other in the couple may be willing to go just beyond that limit and see how far they can take that boundary.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I had a couple. All right, so on the website that I think a lot of us are on, Swingers on Central. How you doing, Annie? Um, One couple, they put that they were only interested in couples and females,
Yeah.
and that used to frustrate me because I'm like, why are you looking at my gallery, engaging with me? If you only want females. So when they perved me, I was like, thanks for stopping by. And they were like, and we actually played, and I was shocked. So that's like, living the experience of those evolving boundaries. That is definitely true with couples. They may have set something hard in stone, and then Next thing you know, they're swinging with BBC.
Yeah.
BBC Hippy is in the room with you.
Right.
Oh man, but I like that though. I like those refreshing surprises though.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they did too.
And you don't swing with couples, correct?
Right.
Okay, you are strictly solo males, BBC.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So something else to think about is if you're going to join this lifestyle, you have to be social. So if both of you are extroverts or introverts, you have to figure out which one is going to be the one to reach out and try to make connections with people. That's very important. You can sit back and wait for people to come to you, but even then you need profiles on the swing websites. You need to go to the parties, even if you're the couple standing against the wall, not talking to people.
Just watching and
Yeah,
observing.
you need to make yourself available.
And you can do that, though. I think that's a good point to make. That when you go to parties, you don't have to, or events or cruises or wherever you're at, you don't have to swing. You don't have to participate in, that intense playtime. You can simply, phase it in. Just go and watch. See how that makes you feel.
And actually, you should do that. You should plan wherever you're going for a couple times to just watch, see what's happening, see where you fit in, see if you're more attracted to the couple that's playing with the BBC, or if you're more attracted to the couple that's playing with the female, and kind of get a feel of where you want to be.
I mean, I was like terrified because the first, I would say, 7 years of my swinging experience were one-on-one. It was, structured, scheduled, intimate, just them and me, or she and I. When I went to a first party, I was like, what the fuck? I mean, what do you even do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
But thank God I had some experienced women that actually, kind of eased me into it, and I was able to, swing and really integrate myself. I was lucky in that regard.
Something couples need to really think about is if you're a couple and you're swinging with another couple, one or the other may not be as pleasured as your partner. So if you have a bad experience and your partner has a fantastic experience, when you come back together to discuss that experience, someone is going to feel like, well, that's not fair.
I hear a lot of taking one for the team.
Yes.
That's what
yes.
I hear a lot of that with the couples where they're like, well, I don't want to it's hard to find all willing, or all the attraction on all levels.
Yeah.
And I would, I guess that would be that's another challenge that I've never really experienced, given the fact I'm single. But
right.
Yeah, that could be challenging. Because how many times am I going to take one for the team?
Right.
When do I get my chance to shine?
And in one of our earlier podcast practices, we had Pam call in, who is a friend of ours, and she made the comment that her husband is her wingman. So it's important to know, if you're trying to talk to a married woman, who the husband is, and that you need his approval. That's vital.
It's vital.
Yeah.
Vital.
And that goes, if you're a couple as well, you need the approval of two other people if you're looking to swing with another couple.
A lot of cats, a lot of guys, dudes, single guys, they just totally overlook the husband. I can't, in my right mind, figure out why. I mean, you just don't understand the lifestyle.
Right.
There's the process. There's etiquette. You got to view them as one. It's not just a woman that you see there that you find attractive. That's a whole package right there.
Right.
Most times, I go after, befriending the husband, because once we establish that broham vibe, then he can tell me and guide me, like, listen, she likes, so many times she likes this, she likes that. Don't do this though. Don't do that. I mean, I had one husband even just, instruct me on how to make a squirt. And I'm like, when you listen, it benefits you.
Well, sure it does.
Who's
going to know her better than her husband?
Exactly. So all of you cats out there that are going in there and trying to just go after the female, wrong. Do not do that. That's a no-go. You got to respect the couple. as one,
Ask the husband questions and heed his advice.
unless instructed otherwise.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there's been cases where, husbands have been like, no, no, she runs the show. Go ahead and talk with
yeah.
her. It's fine. But, you have to be safe than sorry.
Speaking of that, she runs the show. That brings us to our next tip for couples.
Okay.
It's almost always the man who's more eager to join the lifestyle. And normally the woman is the one that's like, I don't know, it's not for me. And so she has to warm up to the idea. Now, if you've got her warmed up to the idea, she's there, guys. She's participating willingly.
Hmm.
Let her run the show. Take heed to what she's saying. If she's uncomfortable in a room, remove her from the environment. Give her time to get it together.
Hmm.
If she doesn't want to play with a couple for whatever reason,
Hmm.
move on to another couple. Once she gets warmed up and once she knows where she fits in, then she'll give you the go.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if you lose her, you lose your opportunity to belong to the lifestyle altogether.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make sure both of you are on the same page. I would say that if I ever involved, if I ever got into a relationship with a female, she would have to be experienced in the lifestyle, preferably. I don't think I would want to have to transition a vanilla female into the lifestyle unless it's that rare situation where she's like, no, you are exciting. I want a piece of what's going on. Where's
Yeah.
the action for me? But there's a lot of things you got to do to really. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, a lot to think about. Yeah.
So another thing for couples to think about is to expect hiccups. They're gonna happen. So just try, like I said earlier, to talk about what happens if one of us gets jealous and have a plan. Have a plan for other hiccups as well. What if one of you is really having a good time and the other one just isn't? Does the one who isn't stand aside and wait for the one who is to be done? Or does the one who is having a good time stop their good time to cuddle the one who isn't? So you have to know, how do you as a couple handle the hiccup?
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, it could flow either way.
It could.
I think it's more of a case by case scenario, but you discuss those, but you discuss that it is a case by case scenario.
Right. And then the last thing for couples that I think is really important is to have a debriefing at the end of every single episode. Always. Don't get so comfortable in the lifestyle that you stop talking about what you just experienced.
And I think a lot of couples, well, 95% of the couples that I've experienced through the years, they actually document the
Right.
experience via pictures, video. They don't show your face and all that stuff, but most times the husband will ask, well, do you mind if I record? Or do you mind if I take pictures? And they respect you. They don't, take your face and, for reasons, obvious reasons.
No, I mean, they're into this lifestyle to enhance their bedroom. So if there's a week that they don't have a bull to participate with them, they have the documentation to go back and still have that enjoyable evening.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
makes sense.
mm-hmm. Okay.
So we're moving on to tips for singles. And
Okay,
this is
now it's
something
getting
that's
heavy now.
very different. It's very different.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know I came in as a single, so did Hippy.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we want to talk about is think about why you want to be a part of a lifestyle. What exactly is it that you're here for?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, me personally, I didn't know what I was there for. I really literally just stumbled into the shit and was like, oh my God. I'm like, I came into it like every other guy that I see coming to it. I didn't know that I had to do research on etiquette and process, how things flow. I was like, wow. So you don't mind if I have sex with her? Is that what you're telling me? That was in my mind. I'm like, okay. And then through the years, you learn, about the culture, about what the do's and don'ts, like how we spoke about earlier. If it's a couple, targeting or engaging with the husband or the lead first, whoever that may be. Um, yeah, I didn't know what I was looking for. I mean, Did you know what you were looking for?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
So with me, I was first invited to a swinger party 3 years ago in 2017.
mhm,
And me and another female friend of mine was going to go to the party and she backed out. Well, I didn't want to go alone, even though I was invited by a couple that I knew. I still didn't want to walk in the door alone.
mhm,
So I backed out as well. But I had 3 years to think about what if I had went. And then
mm,
another vanilla couple of my a friends of mine came to me and said, "We really want to, try a swingers party." And I'm like, "Well, I have a connection."
mhm.
So I reached out to my swinger friends, and they told me, "Oh yeah, the party's still going on, and it's at such and such date on such and such time, and here's the address." So me and my vanilla couple friends went, and I had a good time. I didn't do anything. I just sat back and watched. I moved around the room and got to know a couple people.
Mhm.
But I kept it, all the information that we've given today. I didn't participate. I just watched and saw, do I fit in here?
Did you get horny?
Of course.
Hey
And
Daz, is that Dose? Hey Dose, how you doing there? I'm just giving a shout out to our partner
no
here, Daz.
problem. So after that, in November, I went to a couple more. And ironically, the couple that I went with didn't really have a good time.
Really?
Yeah, but so after I had went the first time and did have a good time, the second time I walked in the door was completely as a single woman. And the only people that I knew was just the couple that I already knew and one or two random people.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And then it was through a chain of events that led me to where I am now. So,
So let me ask you. So okay, so as a single male, there were also some things that I had to, because one of the myths are that all the guys are gay. So what they're referring to the cuckold couples. So they kind of blanket everybody.
but even the Coco couples are not gay. So even that is a myth that needs to be myth busted.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we can myth
Yeah.
bust that with me.
We have a cuckold couple
Hmm.
that we know, and he's not gay. He's not even bi. He's completely straight. He just likes watching his woman get handled by BBC.
So that was, I mean, but that was one thing that I had to, I guess, navigate through is, setting boundaries for all of the males. So
Absolutely,
if we're
yeah.
doing a gang bang, um, I had this one couple. Wow, yeah, he was really, really cool dude. Had a ponytail and everything. They were the doctors. They were both doctors. They are both doctors, and he just got a little close. So I mean, and I really didn't know how to. I didn't want to stop the flow, but there was no way in hell that I was going to have him cross that line and
Yeah,
and
and
uh, and, and, and
as a single
violate me.
person, you need to discuss your boundaries with the couple before play.
Hmm.
And if those boundaries are not respected, then you just exit the room.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I didn't know that. I'm talking about a first time experience of like, okay, well, you're just getting a little too close to my dick, man, and I need to, just give me a little space. You know what I'm saying? I was like dangerously close with his tongue and all that shit. I'm like, wow, just gotta. I'm not,
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of things when you come into the lifestyle, and especially as a single man, you're going to have situations like that. If you're not aware of those possibilities beforehand, you won't know to discuss those boundaries.
hmm, hmm.
So, research is always going to pay off just so you learn everything you can before you try to engage with a couple
And a lot of
or a
people are
single.
swinging that you don't realize are swinging until you're
Sure.
swinging. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Then you pick up on the signs and you pick them up. So I think something helpful would be if you are premeditating the entry into the swinging, lifestyle,
Yes.
that you seek some, you might have some swingers around you that can guide you.
Absolutely. Something that as a couple, or a single, I mean, male or female, that you really need to think about. If you come into this lifestyle as a single man or a single woman and you're alone in your private life, and you really don't want to be alone, this is not the place to look for a relationship, because most singles in this lifestyle are in this lifestyle because they choose to be single.
Hmm.
So if you get too attached to someone you're playing with, you can't, you can occasionally get it returned, but you should expect it not to have those emotions returned.
Yeah, so I think I've never really come across a situation where I got tied to a particular person. Because I primarily play with couples. That's my, that's my thing. I rarely, I mean, I can count on maybe two hands, over the years, the single women that I've played with. I just actually recently started playing with more single women in the last year, 2 years, you know. Um, but I think that it would help to communicate what's going on, because that's a whole nother dynamic. With the wife, that she's not going to leave her husband. I
Right,
mean, there's been very rare cases where it's just all blown up and a wife leaves the husband. I mean,
right.
but when you're single, like there's nobody tying you and there's nobody tying them, and then you catch, like, I guess, what if there's synergy? Like, what do you do? I guess you would just talk about it, right?
Yes, you would have to. Because as a single woman, when you meet a guy and you play and the play is electrifying,
Mm-hmm.
he's on your mind after the play ends.
Mm-hmm.
So then if he texts you every morning, good morning, beautiful, good night, beautiful, I miss you, of course you stand at risk for your emotions to be going, hey, look over there. This might
Mm-hmm.
turn into something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's feeling a relationship that's just based on friendship. He may think you're beautiful. He may miss you. He may want to play with you. But what he thinks you're beautiful, it's your body. What he misses is the playtime. And rarely does do the guys in this lifestyle want to take you to the movies and let's go out to eat and let's go bowling and let's go on vacation, because it's all about playtime.
It should be all about playtime,
Yes.
but what if? I mean, so are there ever circumstances when? I mean, because you've been a single more. I mean, you've been in this, So is there more? Is there a situation where you know you? Because do you want to be single for the rest of your life? I mean, not you per se specifically, but does a single want to be single for the rest of their life?
I think if you come into the lifestyle as a single, you
Mm-hmm.
should come into the lifestyle with the intention of being independent and single.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then if a relationship does get created,
Mm-hmm.
it's up to the two people to discuss what do we do with it from here.
So that's a case by case scenario.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, what I've seen in just the short time that I've been in the lifestyle is women who come into the lifestyle, and men also. So I'm sorry, I shouldn't just say women. Couples who come into the lifestyle, and for personal reasons that have nothing to do with the lifestyle, the relationship ends. Now they find themselves as singles in the lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily want to be singles in the lifestyle. And that's not why they joined in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So now they are looking for that significant other to join the lifestyle, to return to that.
To return to that couple status.
Yes,
Hmm. It's definitely intense.
it is, yeah. So something else that we wanted to talk about, and we're going to focus now on men. Men, when you're interested in a married woman, approach the husband. That way, you know ahead of time that you have his approval
Hmm.
and she has the approval of her wingman. So if you approach the married woman and she hasn't had the approval of her wingman, potentially, if the conversation lasts too long or gets too in depth, you could be causing a little friction between the couple.
Yeah, I've done that one time. I mean, I didn't mean to.
Of course not.
It wasn't intentional. But I had met the female, and they weren't married, but they were a couple.
Mhm.
And she was actually unhappy with her boyfriend, unbeknownst to me. I didn't know that. And then when she met me, she met me, privately. I didn't know that it was privately, until after the fact. Um, and then, by the time, I'm like, listen, we got to engage your boyfriend. So by the time I engaged him, it was really too late because he had already sensed that something was going on, and the way that, with the way I was talking with him, he knew that we had met before. And I did not disclose it to her. I didn't know not to, no, not to
Right.
say something. But that definitely caused friction,
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page. As a single guy, I'm just to other single guys, please make sure that everybody's on the same page and don't just try to smash the wife. Make sure that everybody's on board. Just create an environment of transparency.
Right. Here's something else. You won't be wanted in all circles if you're a single man. So you have to be aware of that.
So why are you smiling?
Because I think that's something that, to me, I like the single guys. So you're always wanted in my circle. So
Hmm.
I don't really understand how you wouldn't be wanted in someone else's circle. But it does make sense if I look at it from a couple's point of view. Because some couples want to swing with other couples. So there's no room there for a single male or female.
Hmm.
Some couples choose to swing with a single female,
Hmm.
and so there's no room in that scenario for a single male.
Or even possibly a lesbian couple,
Yes,
where there's no options there for you.
right.
Um, One of the unfortunate things that I've experienced as a single male is the feeling of, like a belittling. Oh, you're not, part of this. I even though I'm a single male, I have feelings too, damn it.
Sure,
And it's like,
absolutely.
I can, but some guys, they fuck it up for other single
Yes,
guys
that's true.
because if I'm in a party and say there's predominantly couples and everybody's doing their thing,
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop and look and really play defense and really just not be aggressive at all and
right,
wait for anybody to come to me if it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna go and say, well, hey, how you doing, or try to or even force my way to touch somebody, put my dick in
right,
their face, all of that inappropriate shit. That's not gonna happen.
right.
So you have to, as a single guy, I would suggest that you really just observe your surroundings.
Yeah, something as a single guy that you have to keep in mind if you walk into, say, a playroom, a public playroom, and there's situations going on in each corner and on the bed or the couch or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
If you see a situation that you'd really like to get involved in, you walk up and you say, is there room for me to play? And if they say no, you can't in that moment try to convince them that you deserve room to play because you're going to ruin the moment for them and that will never be forgiven.
Mhm.
Not to mention, word will spread.
That you're being pushy.
Yes.
That's the term they use. You're being pushy. You don't ever want to be labeled
All right.
as being thirsty, pushy, aggressive, disrespectful. None of that shit works.
Yes.
You know.
Those, seriously, women have what I like to call a blackball list,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
women discuss these things.
I hope I
So
am not on anybody's blackball. I mean, I try to make sure that I am not on anybody's blackball
my
list.
female friends in the lifestyle, they
Hmm.
all know who's on my blackball list, and
Really.
there are a few guys there already.
So
And
what puts you? Well, I mean, from a female standpoint, what puts a guy on your blackball list? What did you know?
being overly aggressive,
Okay.
being just really pushy,
Hmm.
being overly dominant, being thirsty. Just when you walk into a room or any scenario and there's a guy that you physically see him walking up to every woman saying, "You're beautiful, you're hot, you're fire."
So that's
Dude,
a turn on.
that is a complete turnoff. You have to have limits and boundaries, and it's not your desire, your goal to make every other woman in that room feel good because she already does, or she wouldn't be there.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, there's a certain swagger, a certain discipline that you got to execute You can't just, like you said, be out there thirsty, like, oh yeah, you're the most. I mean, I think people can sense that shit.
Yeah.
They can sense the thirst.
No female wants the guy who has told every woman, I'd love to eat your pussy between her legs. If you want
Yeah,
to eat woman A's pussy and woman B's pussy and woman C's pussy and woman D, I don't want you eating my pussy.
yeah.
You may have already ate all of them pussies, but do it in private.
You have to be mysterious,
Yes.
I think women like that.
Women love that.
The mystery of a man entering the room and watching you, opposed to coming up and throwing my dick in your face.
Yeah, and it's like if you walk in the room and you've got the guy and he comes up and he says, "My God, you're beautiful." Okay, thanks. Can I play with you? No. And then you go outside the room into a different room and here he is again like he's never seen you before. "Oh my God, you're hot. Can I play with you?" No.
They're under the spell, the lust spell. They're really just trapped. There's so much pussy
Yes.
around that, I understand. I've been there. I'm just talking from an experience uh, perspective now. But when I did not know, it's just booty, 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 rocking
Yes.
everywhere.
And when guys come into the lifestyle and they see all of the women who they're like, "Oh, there's 12 women in the room," and all these 12 women in the room are, well, not all of them, maybe 8 of them are here to have sex. Maybe I'll be the lucky one. Don't go prompting 12 women to have sex with you or you're not going to get any.
Yeah, and so another important factor is, I would say as a single male, just to add to your list, your hygiene.
Definitely.
Hygiene will go a million miles for you.
From the hair to the feet.
Everything. If your hygiene is good, because me being a 6'7" tall chocolate, guy, there's some females that like the cute, light skinned, curly headed dudes, you know. But it was my hygiene that where they were like, oh, but you smell like wonderful.
Yeah, smell is.
So I just totally
the,
converted them over to the chocolate factory. You know what I'm saying?
Smell is one of the senses that add to your, yep, gets your libido stirred. We'll go that route.
Yeah, aromatherapy,
Yeah,
baby.
thank you. Thank you.
Aromatherapy. Yeah, but hygiene, that will take you to the mountaintop in many cases. So like, a lot of guys, they don't like to groom. Um, and I'm not, I'm just talking from observation. Because I wonder, like, you know, somebody will send me a picture and this guy has like a 1960s, 1970s bush going on. And I'm like, yo, how is it that you could even enjoy that? All that hair and that
But
trapped.
there are kinks. So for each person, the kink is different. I know a few guys that prefer that. I know guys that want clean shaven, and I know guys that are like, I don't care, I just want pussy.
Yeah, I will not. I would be very reserved to. Let's see. I would fuck a '70s bush, but I would not go down on the '70s. There's not been one '70s bush that I've smelled.
But you're from the '70s. Had you been from the '50s, that might be a different story.
I'm saying in this day and age, and this is just my opinion. Everybody has their own
Absolutely.
kink, and I'm not judging anybody. Just for me personally, I like clean shaven, trimmed.
Since we're discussing this, let's discuss when you're in a public room and you're engaged in whatever it is you're engaged in, and the guy walks in the room. Now, men typically get turned on by eye candy. So what they see is their first arousal.
Mm-hmm.
Women are not like that. So all women are not like that. Some women may be. But when you're in a room and you're already engaged in play with the partner of your choice and a guy walks in the room, having your dick out swinging is not going to get you in that play. And I have seen that happen.
Where they actually pull their dick out and they just get it, the swinging. And
yes, and they approach the female with their dick swinging, not their dick in hand, their dick free swinging. Can I get involved?
See, I've never I I'm trying to think back. I've never forced my dick anywhere that it wasn't wanted.
Yeah, well,
Never.
that dick wasn't forced either.
You know, like
He was just very hopeful.
I mean, I prefer the woman to grab me in most cases. You know, when you know that, when you're unsure, you have the woman, you know, grab you, or not grab you, but she'll engage with you. She'll grab your dick and either start doing whatever she wants to do with it, or let you know when the dick grab takes place. You know you're in. It's like leading the bull in by the horn.
And that typically happens with someone that you already know or someone you've played with before. That rarely happens with someone you don't know. You don't.
Yeah. Hmm.
Even females in a swinging environment don't just walk up to some guy and grab him by the dick.
No, I mean I've had a couple of situations where, like, say we were playing in a playroom and everybody's fucking, and just you give them that look, and she gives you that look, and you're like, hey, and she's
And
like,
then y'all
hey,
are involved.
yeah, and then she just
Yeah,
she makes sure. I always make sure they make the first move
absolutely.
physically.
Okay, so we're going to move on now to women. And
Hmm.
something for the women is you will be wanted by both couples and single men. So there's going to be play for you. And that's something you need to expect because when a single woman comes into the lifestyle, she can be overwhelmed.
By the tsunami wave of cocks
Yes,
coming at, yes.
yes. And that happened with me because I came into this circle of friends on a Saturday, and our first party was the following Saturday. And in that one week, I had 25 guys. So I want to play with you this weekend. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
brother. And
Hmm.
I planned on going to that party. My original plan was I'm not here to play, I'm here to observe.
Hmm.
And that didn't happen. I did end up playing twice that weekend, but I was not overwhelmed by play.
Yeah, I would say I'm sure that there's guys out there that receive that same type of attraction from females. I'm not one of them. I don't know what the reason is, but I'm kind of happy that I'm not, in a sense. But sometimes you do want that, want to know that you are wanted amongst the female population. Um, I mean, I find more so at the parties. Like, I went to this one party. Uh, Wicked Angels. What's up, Wicked Angels? Thanks for inviting me there. Um, where I was actually, I was the shit. I was the thing
All
that,
right.
yeah. So
All guys want that.
that felt really good, but that's rarely happens. You
Well,
know.
that's because there's so many men in the lifestyle. So many single men, so
Hmm.
many married couples who
Hmm.
the guy is willing to be the bull for another couple.
Hmm.
So there's so many men that it is hard for one guy to be the man at
Hmm.
any one time.
Hmm. So if you're able to catch a few of those waves, fellas, where you are the man, just don't despair. Just pace it out. In my case, I have my son, so it's like, swinging for me is not a priority per se. It's something that happens when it does. So for me, that kind of works out, because I think if I was a hot commodity all the time, it would interfere with my
Sure,
responsibilities.
it would. So something that we wanted to do now is give tips, and these tips are going to be widespread, so it's everyone entering the lifestyle. And I'm going to start with the tip of be sure you carry your own goodie bag.
Okay.
The man in a couple situation, the man needs to have a goodie bag, and the woman needs to have a goodie bag, unless they are only into playing in the same room. Then you can have one bag. But your bag needs to have condoms of different sizes.
Hmm.
Men, you only need condoms that you yourself can wear.
Hmm.
Women, you need condoms that any guy you play with is going to be able to wear. You also need lube. If you play too long, the lube will come in handy. But if you also play with someone who is well endowed, the lube is going to be a necessity. And you also need wipes because you may have a situation where you need to clean up afterwards. And if you're in a public playroom, You may have to be in line to get to the bathroom, so you want to be
And
sure you're
can I
planning
add
ahead.
some acts to that? To
Sure.
the man,
Yes.
because you always, it doesn't necessarily have to be acts. I'm just saying, just have some type of,
Cologne.
yeah, scent, some type of oil or something that you can go ahead and just refresh, start from scratch, and just become that flower petal again.
Which also leads to you might want to have a small bottle of travel size deodorant. I don't have it in my play bag because it's always in my purse,
Hmm.
but for someone who doesn't carry it, that's something else you could add to your play bag.
Okay, all right. So what else we got going on?
We have something that's very important in lifestyle, and people don't realize this who are vanilla, is avoid drugs and alcohol during any play.
Hmm.
When you play, it is so important to make sure that you are on top of your game, your wits are together, and you don't have anything you regret the next morning. So you don't want to come into a play activity where you are intoxicated or under the influence of a substance and make a decision that you regret later.
Now, this is for people entering into the lifestyle. This is something that we're specifically talking about when you're entering into it.
Yes.
Once you become a little more experienced, still not suggesting that you OD on any drugs or alcohol, but you will, like, say, okay, so say if I'm meeting a couple, we're gonna have some drinks, more than
Sure.
likely. You're meeting somebody at a bar, you're gonna have some drinks, but work out the lay of the land first. Become comfortable.
Know yourself. And if you know your play partner, then you can allow yourself to drink a little bit more, even to the euphoric state of in my happy place.
Hmm.
But if you have to know that the person you're playing with isn't going to also become intoxicated to the point where to them your boundaries no longer exist.
Yeah, I mean, and even on a couple of occasions where I drank too much, not knowing these tips that you're giving us. Um, my mind goes to a whole bunch of insecurity. Like you start freaking out almost, and
Sure.
and you don't want to do that. You want to learn or meet the people, have a fresh mind, a clear head. Um, know your people, who you're playing with, know your environment, beforehand. And this is when definitely every time when entering into the lifestyle, hands down.
Something else for everyone. And women, this is more for you to help the guy through if he experiences it. And guys, you may experience this. Understand that there is a such thing as performance anxiety. You can, as a guy, be overwhelmed
Yes,
and end up in a situation where you're humiliated. And women,
yes.
do not humiliate these guys. And guys, don't humiliate one another if this happens.
I can't even fake the funk. I've experienced that shit. I mean, uh, there's two times that I can remember where I'm known. I know myself. I am a fucking mandingo. In my mind, I'm like, yo, I could fuck the shit out of you. You better stop playing with me. But there's been times, for some reason, that it just didn't work, and I felt like my world was caving in.
Absolutely.
And I swear, if somebody would have said a joke or something, it would probably sent me into like a mini depression. Like, what the frick is going on? My
Yeah.
think it's not working.
Yeah, you have to support one another because the guy making fun of the guy could be the one next to experience the performance anxiety for whatever reason. And it could be as simple as you've been in the lifestyle 20 years now, all of a sudden 2 weeks ago you went to the doctor and the doctor put you on blood pressure medication. And after
Yeah,
2 weeks of that blood pressure medication getting into your system, all of a sudden you walk into a room and you have some performance anxiety. You don't know why. You've never experienced it, but it's because of your blood pressure
and
medicine.
you're not alone. Okay, so I could just I don't know how women's performance anxiety ever occurs or if it even exists, but the males, you are not alone. It's happened to me. It's going to happen to you sooner or later. But just keep swinging, man.
Right.
keep it swinging. If you think that there's something wrong with you, definitely go see your doctor. They have things that can help you with that. But you're not alone. So yeah, I just want to put that out there.
Something else that I suggest is when it comes to the lifestyle, when you're doing your discovery phase to see if this is the where you want to go with your life.
Hmm.
Learn the lingo because you don't want to get in a situation where you meet a couple and you're a single guy and you're really attracted to the woman and the guy's like, oh yeah, I would love that, and then the wife turns to you and says, well, my husband is a cuckold. If you don't know what that is,
Yeah.
you're walking into a situation that is going to surprise the shit out of you.
Yes. Yes. You will.
So
Yes. You will definitely be shocked. Because I mean, like you just mentioned earlier. I mean, these are straight guys that are willing to do things like they call it a cleanup.
yes.
So you bust a nut, and then they come behind you and actually eat, lick everything up and
Well, let's save
clean it
that
up.
for the cuckold
No, I'm just saying. I
episode.
mean,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're
but
right. And
that could be shocking for a straight
yes,
male, especially somebody that's new coming into the lifestyle.
yes.
That could be shocking.
Well, and also it can be shocking for a guy if I walked up and said, I'm a unicorn and I want a DVP.
Hmm. Hmm.
Guys have some women have no idea what either of those things mean, a unicorn or a DVP.
Hmm. So a double vagina penetration is what she's referring to. And once again, if you're new, then you don't want your dick touching anybody else's dick. I mean, it took a while for me to. I mean, in the music industry, I've we've run what we call trains, like gangbangs. Were back in the day, they were called. You ran a train on a female because she wanted all of that dick. But you know, I had somewhat experiences with that, but in the swinging lifestyle, it became more interactive and touchy. Like but it's like a locker room touch. Like I know I'm not gay, you're not gay, but our dicks are touching.
Well, yeah, because the female may want both dicks in her mouth at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
and you
exactly.
grab two and you pull them close and you're going at it.
Hmm.
And the
Yep.
guys are freaking out because they had no idea that was coming.
Hmm. Exactly. So just make sure that you research the terminology, you know what you're getting into, you discuss kinks,
Right.
so that you're prepared because it could wind up being shocking and it could get ugly,
Yes.
if you're not aware.
Something else. Do not assume everyone is honest. People are people are people, and they are always going to be exactly the same thing you've experienced your whole life. The word lifestyle does not attach to the word honesty.
Hmm. You have, and that's one thing. Like when I mentioned earlier, how guys fuck it up for other guys. If you're a snake, a cheat, if you're manipulative, if you're a male chauvinist, if you have all of those flaws, becoming a swing is not going to help you change. You're going to drag that shit into our culture, into our
Yes.
lifestyle. You
And if
know.
you meet a guy, say you're a single female or a couple, and you meet a guy and you see he's doing things that have you questioning whether or not he's actually single, though he says he is, avoid playing with him.
And females. It's not
Yes,
just. I mean, I know you.
that
I
is
know.
true.
Yeah,
That is
you got
true.
to keep it equal
That is
now.
true.
Guys and females. Assess their character.
Yes.
Use your gut feeling to assess them, and if there's any red flags, there's more than enough people that are on the right side of things to play with, that are honest, transparent,
Yes.
and beautiful people. That's the core of our lifestyle.
Yes. You do have a situation where someone in the lifestyle, or even not in the lifestyle, but since we are a lifestyle show, I'll use that as an example. Someone in the lifestyle goes to the doctor, gets their regular routine STD test, and finds out they have trichomoniasis. They are so ashamed of having trichomoniasis that they don't tell people they have it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know of someone in the lifestyle who came face to face with that, and went forward and said, hey, everyone, I'm just telling you, I tested positive for whatever it is I have.
Mm-hmm.
That person has proven their honesty. So don't turn your back on them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't treat them like an outcast.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people you want the closest to you.
And that may bring up another point that you may want to add to the list is you will run across an experience, whether it's day one or year 23, you're gonna end up, you know, having become the victim of something. When you catch something, because when you make, in this community, when you're playing with one, you're playing with all.
Yes.
You
And
know.
as we've said before, you can be a carrier and not know you have it. So when you come in contact with something, it's probably not always,
Mhm.
but it's probably something that the carrier didn't know they had.
So you got to be patient. Just be in a place where you're like, okay, just you always protect yourself, and I would err on the side of safety, always wear protection. But there is other stuff that you can do, like say you want to eat some pussy or do oral or something like that, where you just got to be careful with these things when you're entering the lifestyle.
I have two more points that I'd really like to make before we close out this episode today. And one of them is discretion is
Discretion.
essential. Thank you.
Discretion. You got that country voice.
Discretion is essential. Never betray anyone's trust
hmm
if they are in the lifestyle as a secret part of their life.
hmm
Not only will you lose them as friends, but you will lose the entire circle.
Yeah, you always have to ask for permission. Whether like even when we discuss with the couples, you want to ask the permission.
Well, and not just that, but you don't want to run into them at the grocery store when they're with someone that you don't know and say, "Oh, I've met y'all at that party. Remember that swingers party we went to last month?"
Man, I've actually seen, there was a couple that I was playing with, and I saw them in the grocery store. And this was the first time I ever experienced that shit. So I was like, what do I do? And we just didn't react like we didn't know each other. We
Yeah.
just kept it moving. There was another couple that I was eating breakfast with my son. And they come walking in, and the husband just nods, and I just nod, and he just walks by. And I'm like, okay, that's the way you do it.
Yeah, I haven't had that experience yet, and because I mostly play with single men, I don't expect if I do have that experience that there would be. I mean, I would probably walk up and say hi and just pretend that I know you, but not say where. And then if the single guy is with a woman or whatever, he can tell her whatever he wants. Oh, I used to work with her.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean that code of discretion is definitely
Yes,
key.
and actually, it's such a important thing that the initials LS, which mean lifestyle, have been turned into the last name Ellis.
hmm
So if I say, "Oh, that's Joe Ellis,"
hmm
that's code for that's Joe from the lifestyle.
Oh, okay, nice.
And the last thing that I want to say is, and I feel this is the most important thing, which is why I saved it for last, but know when to walk away. Know when you can't do it anymore and enough is enough. Whether it's because your marriage is going to fall apart, whether it's because as a single female, you just, for whatever reason, you want to focus on your career, your family, you met someone who's vanilla and you want to build that relationship, or if it's you met someone in the lifestyle and together you choose to leave the lifestyle, just
hmm
know when to walk away.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Um, Man, we're getting a call in, but it was too late. I'm so sorry. Maybe you can call in next time. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I'm so sorry. We're about to wrap up. Oh, thank you for being so patient. Make sure you follow us and come back for our next episode 4. And we do these live Podbeam broadcasts as well, so that we can have people call in and do these type of things. Um, but yeah, I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
This has been a very interesting, informative episode, and thank you so much for your
No,
research.
absolutely. I
And
love it.
make sure you tune in next week for our 4th episode. And what's that going
Yes.
to be? Do you know? She
Uh,
organizes all of our episodes. Everybody.
I did not refresh myself on that today. I should have.
Okay.
I should have.
Well, we're going to surprise you with episode number 4, and we're gonna promote it. Put it on all our social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. Join our Telegram group. That's at our website, swingingwithqandh.com. Make sure that you log on there, register for free. And it's been wonderful.
It has, and one thing I wanted to say is because we are so new in the podcasting arena, please give us feedback.
Hmm. Critique, yeah,
Criticism
critique us. Right?
is something that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I enjoy it too, unless you get a little spicy. If you get too spicy, I might catch feelings. No, I'm only playing. But thank you everybody for tuning in. We hope that you are informed and educated and entertained by this contrast here, country
Yes,
girl, the
give
inner
us
city guy.
feedback, please.
And make sure you tune in next week for our next episode. But I'm Hippy.
And I'm Queen.
We're watching Swinging with Queen and Hippy. See you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
All right, bye.